Hello and welcome to Jerry's Live. My name is Michaela Westra.
And I am Emmy Klein, and we are your hosts this evening. So today we have a really fun episode planned. I am so excited for this. We are going to be going over the Tuscan Pine oil paint, and I have a deep love for this paint, so it's definitely going to be coming across. It might be a little biased, but you know, that's okay. If you guys are interested in anything that we're going to be covering today, make sure you go to the website JerrysArtarama.com and type in today's class code into the search bar, which is JL337, which is down here in the corner, in case you need to reference that. So in the search bar, JL337, the teacher's cart should come up as soon as you search that, and then you'll be able to check out all of the different paint colors and products and things that we're going to be going over today. So let's jump into Tuscan Pine. I love this paint so much. It has been years in the making. This is a thing that I've been working on in the background with Heather and Mike Gorak for a very long time, literally years. So Tuscan Pine is an oil paint line that has currently 94 colors, about to be 96, and that's possibly going to change in the future as well when we start adding more colors and getting other beautiful ranges of colors later on. But for right now, we have 94 colors available as of right this second. And Heather Goldstein and Mike Gorak have really been like the brainchild behind this, which has been wonderful. It is made here in the United States. Mike Gorak has been in the industry for... Sorry, Mike, if you're watching this, I honestly don't remember the exact number of years, but it's been
40.
It's been a really long time. The man knows his stuff, though. So all of that expertise that he's bringing to the table, and then Heather on top of that is such a passionate oil painter, and she's very specific about her oil painting supplies. I mean, she's grown up in the industry as well. So the two of them coming together has been an incredible, just machine to make this whole line of paint. I was trying to figure out a word to just describe that. I'm like, those two are machines. But then on top of that, they also have William Shade, who's the chemist that they've been working with, who's been working together with Mike to create all the different formulas and everything. It is an incredible oil line. Then on top of that, Heather has also been bringing in all of her artist friends. And when I say artist friends, I mean these are the top artists in the fine art industry. Like, they're incredible painters, and they've been bringing these people in. They've been getting their hands on this paint, asking them what they think, and working on the formulations, working on the colors, changing things, tweaking things. And this, like I said, it's been years in the making. So this is really an oil paint made by artists for artists who really truly love oil paint colors and just colors in general. And you'll see the amount of color that we have on here. There's not even...
We struggled narrowing it down to 12.
Yes, we had to narrow it down to 12 because we were going to struggle even getting through all of these.
Yes.
But these are just a few of the colors. If there are colors that you guys want to see in the future, please make sure you put them in the comments because this is not the last time you're going to see this paint on the show, because it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
In my arsenal of oil painting supplies. I might exclusively paint with oil in this. But I love this paint so much. So to go over a little bit of what is going to be found on your Tuscan Pine label, because I'm going to start with that. Let's actually switch over to that overhead view. There we go. All right, so this is the 40 milliliter tube of oil paint. This is just the Appalachian. I want to say Appalachian. Every time I want to say Appalachian brown. It's Appalachia brown oxide. This right here on every color, no matter what the color is though, this right here is a hand-painted swatch. This is the paint that is inside the tube. When they make the paint, like the actual batch of paint that's in here, they make the swatch from that paint. So this is exactly what you're getting. Then of course you have your color listed right here. Let me actually push that up a little closer so you guys can see. And then of course there's your series that goes
to Series 6 as of right now.
Believe it's a Series 6 is the highest series that you can get, 1 through 6. again, that might shift in the future depending on what we get and make. But if you flip your tube over, of course there's a barcode, and then we have the information of where it's actually made right here, which is in Archdale, North Carolina. So North Carolina paint. I love that so much. Then over here you have your, you have a question?
All right, can you explain what a series is?
A series, yes, for oil paint.
Yeah.
So all oil paints typically come in series. So this right here is a series 1.
I have a series 4 here.
Yes, so you can see the number right there, the difference. So typically speaking, series 1 is going to be your least expensive paint. The higher the series, the more expensive that paint is going to be. Now the reason for that is because either of how difficult it is to get that pigment or how difficult it is to process that pigment and make it such a beautiful paint for you to use. So series 1, you're going to find a lot of your earth tones in your series 1. That's why a lot of the old masters painted with like burnt sienna, because they were the inexpensive paints, and why would you want to do all your underpaintings and things that you're just going to cover up with your expensive paint? So a lot of your earth tones are series 1, but like your cobalts and your cadmiums, those really expensive, beautiful pigments are going to be a series like 5, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Maybe
Maybe even a 6. So it has a range, but that's why, and it's just because of sourcing and then processing, things like that. So, great question though. On the back though, right here, is going to be the pigment information. So this one right here is PR101 with a :1. So that is the code for this specific color. There is actually a website that we love, and I cannot remember what it is called.
Oh.
We'll put the link in the chats later on after the show is over, because I honestly cannot even remember what the name of it is, but it has a whole database of all the pigments. You guys, I think we've... Artist Creation? Yeah, that thing is, it's like a holy grail of pigment
Yes,
codes.
everything you would want to know about a pigment, it's on there.
Yes, all of the codes broken down. So that is, it can tell you exactly what that PR101 is. Then it also will say that it's alkali refined linseed oil, because that's what they use in this specific line. And then, of course, your transparency level. This one happens to be a semi-opaque. And then, of course, you have your Lightfastness rating. This is a Lightfastness 1, which I always get this backwards. Is Lightfastness 1 the most Lightfast?
I think it's... Is it the least?
Katie, help. I cannot remember. I always get them switched in my head, and then I overthink it, and then I think, wait, no, that's wrong. And then I do this, and I cannot remember what Lightfastness 1, I believe Lightfastness 1
is 4, 5 is excellent.
Okay. So if you have a Lightfastness 1, then it can fade over time. The higher the level, then the better it is. So that's what that is. And then, of course, if there are any of the warning labels as far as like the toxic pigments and things like that, it is going to be a little further down.
And I do have that on this one here. So it has like a little bit of a warning label here, if it has that.
Yeah. Just so you guys are aware of what pigments you're using and what is in them. Of course, you also have your emergency contact information down there. And then that is the tube for every tube is going to be set up essentially the same exact way. So then we have our swatches. When I say this has been a labor of love.
She has been working on these for months.
Yes, I have. Yes. So all of these swatches that you guys will see online, I did. Me specifically. Just me, only me, because I wanted it to be super consistent for you guys. I wouldn't let anybody else do it. But if you guys actually do want to check out all the different swatches for all of the colors, all of them that are available, we do have the link that Amanda and Frida, our moderators, are going to pop in the chats. And that is going to bring you to our landing page where you can see all the beautiful colors. It is so gorgeous.
Yes.
I am very, very proud of our web team for putting that together. It looks fantastic. But to break down kind of how we did the swatches.
Oh, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So there's conflicting information online.
About the Lightfastness?
About the Lightfastness.
This is why I get
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it's confusing.
So if it's 1, 2, or 3, it seems that 1 is excellent,
Okay.
2 is good, 3 is poor.
Okay,
But
so
if
it's
it's 1
backwards.
through like 8, the higher you get, the better
Okay.
it is.
And I
So,
believe
you know,
it's the first version, because I was like, I'm pretty sure this is a very light fast color. Like, it's
Yeah.
It
got
also
a good
varies
rating.
from company to
Yeah.
company on
It
how
does.
they label it.
You need to get some consistency with that, but that's a problem for
The art industry.
the industry in general. So I do believe Lightfastness 1, because I was like, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
this color has a Lightfastness 1 rating. I'm pretty sure this is a massively Lightfast color. Like it lasts a long time. That's why I was like, I'm pretty sure that's wrong. But then I get them flipped in my head and I overthink
If
it.
it's the ASTM Lightfastness, it's 1 excellent.
Yes, that's what it is, I believe.
If you click on one of the colors, like I clicked on amethyst
Okay.
on the website,
Uh-huh.
and when you go to the actual amethyst tube page, it says light fastness. It says 1 excellent.
1 is excellent. Okay. So 1 is the highest level
What
of.
was that, Appalachian brown?
It's should be a rating of 1.
And I think these are all 1 here.
Okay. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure these are high. That was really important for us when we were
1 excellent.
developing.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah. So 1 is excellent on the light fastest rating for this line. I'm sorry, that was so confusing. Thank you guys for sticking with us on that one. That was an endeavor. But now do you understand why I get it so mixed up in my head
There are multiple
every time?
scales, and it
Yeah.
depends on who uses what. It depends on what country they come from. It depends on preference. And
It does.
you just have
It's a
to
little
check.
confusing, but this is why we work through these things for you guys. We absolutely do. Okay, so back to these swatches. You can see all of these swatches online, available on for every single color.
Every color.
And I wanted to go over how I did them. So I actually made them in separate panels for every single one because I did not want any kind of cross-contamination. So I started with this right here. This right here is the mass tone. This is just straight out of the tube of paint. This is actually the Manganese blue, in case you guys are wondering. This lovely, I have them all labeled back here. This lovely color is Manganese blue, which we're going to be swatching a little bit later on. But this is the mass tone, and you can see that it has a lot of gloss and sheen up here, and it gets a little matte down here. The reason why is because I made it a lot thicker up here, straight out of the tube, and then I got really thin down here. So this is like, I was scrubbing it off of the canvas with the brush, essentially. So I wanted you to be able to see what you could get with just the paint alone. So this is the mass tone. Then went
glaze.
to the next level, which is the glaze. So what I did then was take the exact same paint, and honestly, I didn't even clean my brush. I just mixed it in with linseed oil. I just poured some linseed oil and swatched it around on the palette, and I broke it down with linseed oil just so you could see what it would look like with the undertones and the glaze with just specifically that paint and linseed oil, and that's it. You have a question?
Yes, we had one earlier. The oil that's used in the paints themselves, is it all linseed oil across the board?
No. No, it is not, which is a great question. So it is a alkali refined linseed oil. Be aware of that, which I believe means that it dries slightly faster, which is wonderful. And it's also refined, so I think they remove some impurities. But then we also have, which is a great segue into showing the 2 different sizes. We have this specific white color, which is titanium white in safflower oil.
Safflower oil.
Yes. So this is the only one that is in specifically safflower oil. We do have a titanium white in linseed oil as well. But linseed oil does yellow over time more than safflower oil. So if you're looking for really bright white,
Yes.
this is wonderful. But yeah, this is also the 2 different sizes of tubes. We just got the white in that I'm aware of. It's 150 milliliters, and I believe the colors are coming soon in this side. They're literally being made.
As we speak.
Yes. He's working diligently to make that.
If anybody has any questions about the specific ones, specific colors or anything like that, if you go to the website and click on the specific tube, that's one of the things it does tell you. So if you have any questions about it, it does tell you on there.
Yeah. The website is absolutely a wealth of information. We tried to make sure that we just kind of dumped it all and organized it into a really wonderful color chart for you guys to check out. also reminds me, there's going to be a color chart and some downloadable color cards available soon. They're currently working on that right now. They're just editing it just a little bit to make sure that all the information is accurate before it's uploaded to our website. But that will be available soon as well, so you can always get all the swatches, again, all on there too. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
So those two we've gone over, and then now we have these three lovely little tiny squares. So this right here is a tint, which is 50% of the color that I mixed, and then 50% of a white paint. So that's it, literally it. And then I just kind of mix it all over on the palette, or on the canvas. You can actually see all my brush strokes. Did we have a question?
Yes. You might have answered it. I was diligently typing.
It is hard to listen and type at the same time.
What's the purpose of the linseed oil?
The linseed oil is so that you guys can see the undertones. And what we mean by that, you will see specifically with that alizarin orange that we're going to be swatching soon. That is where, like, when you start to break down the color, it can have a shift to...
I think in the paint.
Oh, in the paint.
But also finish that.
Oh, you're talking about the alkali.
Probably.
Refined linseed oil.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, no. But yeah, so that's the undertones can shift before that first point that I was making. And you'll specifically see it with the alizarin crimson, or the alizarin orange, not crimson, sorry. I've been doing that all day. Yes. But the oil in the actual paint, the alkali refined linseed oil, that's literally what makes your paint stick. All paint is pigment, which is like a powdered color, and then a binder, which is like in watercolor, it's gum arabic. In acrylic, it's acrylic polymer. In oil, it's oil. Yeah. So it's literally what makes your pigments stick onto the surface and not release off. Because if you just took the pigment and just smashed it into your canvas, it would just flutter off like pastels, essentially.
Yes.
Although even pastels have a binder, which is clay, by the way. I have a lot of this knowledge. It's ridiculous. Okay, so back to our swatches here. I'm going to jump down here real fast to this one. This is the, I'm sorry, not tone, shade. This is a shade. So again, it is 50% of the color that I mixed, and then 50% of an ivory black specifically. Now, I wanted to show this one off specifically as well because you can see that it's nice and matte. But if I pull it up towards the camera, if I can make sure that that's on. All right, hopefully that will focus. If I get it really close, maybe? There we go. All right, so I wanted to get this because when I started putting this color specifically down, it was so dark that it was almost black. I mean, you can see my gloves are black next to that. It's so dark. If I had built this up to any kind of thickness, it would have just appeared black. So I kind of did what I did down here, and I did a really thin layer on some of these shades just because it was so dark that I wanted you to see some of that color kind of coming through. So it was just a really thin application, but that is exactly what you're looking at. And then this right here is the tone. So it is, I made my own specific neutral gray. I took the white that I mixed here, and I took the black that I mixed here, and I made 50-50 mixture for a neutral gray. And then I took 50% of that and 50% of that color,
Get the tone,
to mix with the color. So it's a tone. So it's the color mixed with gray, essentially. So that is exactly how I made every single swatch, all of them. So I tried to be very scientific about it, and I approached it in the exact same way for every single one, no matter if it didn't have much of a color shift because the color was so strong. I just wanted you to see exactly what would happen if it was a 50-50 mixture with the linseed oil and the mass tones and everything like that.
That's almost 500 swatches.
You did the math? I hope you guys love this. The swatches were really, I think that took me 6 months to do.
Yeah.
It's
But they're so incredible.
yeah. And I did them all exactly the same. But yeah, no, I made sure to do this all because I didn't want it to, like, if we had shared the workload, I think it would have had a little bit of a difference between how things are done. So I just wanted to make sure that they were so consistent so you guys, you really know exactly what you're getting when you look at the color on our website. But that is our swatches. All right, so now we can get to the fun actual swatching of real paint and not just dried paint. So here, I'm gonna grab this for you. Yes. Because Michaela is gonna start on her side of colors. I'm gonna just pop this over here.
I have the fun colors. I mean, they're all fun colors, but I have the bright and sparkly colors. I figured you would enjoy seeing those first.
Oh, yes.
So we're actually going to start with that alizarin orange, and like Emmy was saying, there is some beautiful variation in this color. So the thinner it gets that really nice yellow, and then as it gets thicker, it gets really kind of like a deep orange.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the pigment codes listed here as well for you guys to check out. And then Michaela is going to grab just a little bit of it, and on our painter's color diary here,
Yes.
we are going to do a little drawdown so you guys can really see that color. And we wanted to specifically use the painter's color diary because then you can really see that transparency with that black line that runs through it. So that is a relatively thick application of the paint. You can see the thicker areas. It just gets that like that yummy orange color.
And this is a transparent color.
Yes. All right, then you're going to mix it in with a little bit of
White.
white.
So I'm going to do a little
tint.
tint just to kind of show that.
And actually, can you pull that over here?
Yeah.
You gotta see this mixing. It's so pretty. Perfect.
See the tinting strength. So this is 50% white, 50% of that color.
And you can see it's still making a really, really beautiful orange,
Oh yes, oh
which
my gosh,
is
I love
just
this.
lovely. And with the addition of that titanium white, because titanium white just happens to be an opaque color, you really get that intense opacity where that line is just essentially obliterated. So pretty. We have questions?
So we're talking about the titanium white. Can you just for a second, if you haven't already, explain the in safflower oil versus in linseed oil? They're saying it doesn't come across that often, so I was hoping you could explain the difference in them, like for lines to have both.
Yeah.
So linseed oil can yellow slightly over time. Safflower oil does not yellow as much as linseed oil. So having that safflower oil, especially in that titanium white, it's going to create an even more pure, bright white.
Yes. And it's going to stay bright on the brighter white side. Whereas like linseed oil, just when it ages, it just can turn a little bit of a yellow tinge. And that's
it's
just the
not
nature.
drastic,
No,
but-
it's just the nature of linseed oil. And that happens. But that's why we wanted to provide a white that has that safflower. Now, mind you, if you are looking for, and actually before you swatch that, we still have to do the glaze.
Oh yes.
Glaze. You gotta do the glaze. Because we wanted to make sure that you guys can see this break down. So I actually have some linseed oil right here. And you can see it has a little bit of a yellow tinge, which, I mean, again, it can break down that yellow over time. You can actually kind of almost reverse it by putting it in the sunshine. So if you have yellowed linseed oil painting, if you make it actually just exposed to sunshine, it's one of those things where you can brighten it up, which is bizarre.
Do you know if there's a different dry time with those two?
Yes.
And if you can use them with everything else?
That is valid. Very, very valid question. Yes, there is a difference in dry time. So safflower, the reason why linseed oil is found mostly across the board for a lot of the oil paints on the market. Linseed oil is the fastest drying oil available. It just dries the quickest, which, I mean, oil paint dries slowly in general. So when you take that into account and you understand that walnut oil, safflower oil, all of those additional oils, poppy seed, all of those dry a little bit slower than linseed oil. But it's a trade-off because linseed oil can yellow, I believe it's the most over time. Of course, it always depends on how it's kind of processed, you know, like we have an extra pale cold pressed Chelsea Classical Studio linseed oil. Again, all of that can be sun bleached as well. When you put it in the sunshine, it lightens up. It's one of those things that, like, the sunshine is magic. it's one of those things. But it's one of those things, it's a trade-off where you get a brighter color because it doesn't have that yellowing over time, or you can get faster drying linseed oil.
Yes.
So here, you guys can see the difference in that mass tone, where it's a little bit thicker and it's got that really orangey kind of, that dark, almost red kind of color. And then over here where it starts shifting almost towards a more yellow orange, which is, I love it so much.
And
so
you can see it has a yellow pigment and a red pigment. So you're seeing kind of both of those in the orange. So it's beautiful.
So I like to use this sometimes as like just my underpainting. It's one of those colors where you can get a good variation because the mass tone can get so dark when you build it up that way. Okay, so now we have
the yellow citron.
Yellow citron.
And am I correct in saying that this is one of your favorite colors?
Yes. The reason why is because, here, we'll do the swatch here. So when I first got this color, I legitimately grabbed a black light to see if it fluoresced. It was such a bright, like, I don't know if this is even coming across on camera, how bright this yellow is. It's like a lemony yellow, so it does kind of tend to lean, I know right next to the orange, it looks pretty orange, but it, as a yellow, it's not that orangey yellow. It's kind of, it almost starts to lean towards green. But this is, it's so vibrant that I actually thought they sent me a fluorescent oil paint, and I wanted to see if it fluoresced, so I grabbed a black light. It does not, by the way. It's got a high Lightfastness rating, so it's definitely not fluorescent, because that would mean it's dye-based, which is not what you want in an oil paint. So it is such a really, really, really bright yellow. And usually, in my own experience, and correct me if you guys have found anything else out there, a lemon yellow is never strong.
No, it's always usually transparent.
Yeah.
And this is
semi-transparent.
And that tinting strength, this was the one that kind of blew me away.
You see the difference in that?
That's 50% white.
Yeah.
I even add a smidgen more white.
Yeah, it's, the color shift is, I mean, you can tell that there's definitely white in there, but that's 50% white. That's crazy. That is absolutely insane to me. So actually that one is the one we wanted to mix with black.
Oh, yes.
So I have an ivory black here. We're gonna just actually do like a little dollop of daisy.
Little dollop of daisy.
So when you get a really, really, really strong color, it's one of those things where you can actually mix it into other colors, and like I said, the yellow, the lemon yellow, usually I find that it was almost anemic. Like you'd lose it in all of the colors. Like if you mixed it with the black would just eat it. It would be black paint with just maybe a slight yellow undertone. And that's, in my own opinion, or in my own experience, that's what I found. Now this one right here,
Just gonna do a little.
hopefully that's coming across and it's not just dark.
Oh man, it doesn't show.
I think it does. Is that coming across as green? Because it is green. Yeah. That is a full green. Okay, great. The camera's picking it up. But yeah, so that right there is a 50-50 mixture. Yeah. So that lemon yellow has really tinted the black, and it's ivory black. We have a question?
We had discussed poppy seed, safflower, and walnut oils before. You mentioned that linseed oil dries a little faster, but tends to yellow over time. How do the other oils compare in terms of archivability?
Archivability wise, they're all archival. That's the thing about those drying oils, is they are all blah, 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 blah. Sorry, words. They are all archival. They will stand the test of time. Really, when it comes to archivability in your paints, you really don't want to take a look at your pigments, because the linseed oil or the poppy oil or anything like that is not going to change your pigment into being an archival pigment if it's not archival to begin with. You can't, that doesn't work like that. So if you have an archival pigment and you put it with any of those drying oils, it will still be an archival pigment. Hopefully that answered that. But as far as like dry time and everything, it's all kind of, I honestly have not seen a scale of the dry time for each of those. I just know, just off the top of my head, linseed oil is the fastest drying, but can yellow, I think, the most. But that's why it's usually used, is because it just dries fast. It's one of those things. So
Can you
there's...
pick that up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, we had a hair. Our animals came with us today. All right, but there is the glaze for that yellow citron.
Yellow citron.
And this, by the way, is a single pigment color, PY3. And it is just so lovely. I love this color so much. Can you tell? Do we have any other questions before we move on to the next color?
No, but I do want to mention, normally when we do oil painting episodes, I'm masked up at the beginning of the episode, and I'm still mask free halfway through, and I can't smell it.
Yeah, I don't smell.
I mean,
I smell the solvent, but
yeah, but and we need to probably keep the lid on while we aren't using it. But the oil paint, it's just an oil paint smell, like which smells like just oil. I don't know how to describe that any other way. It's just an oil smell. All right, so I'm gonna actually kind of shift this a little. I'm about to run into tubes though, and I don't want to hit that. All right, so Cobalt Caribbean, because we had to throw in a teal.
It's so
yes.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite colors.
Oh, you need this, don't you?
Yes.
Here, I'll hold this up so it doesn't get the paint on the back. Ha ha! Look at that pretty color. Now this one I do really love, because this is one of those colors where I have seen this color in a couple lines, not specifically this one, but I've seen something very similar with these, but most of the time it's a blue or a green mixed with a white, like a titanium white, to get this color. This right here is actually a single pigment color. It is just pigment green 50, PG 50. And that, yeah, Katie didn't know that?
I know that.
Yeah, this is a single pigment color. So you're not getting any white already mixed into the actual color. It is just that color. So this right here is the tint, which is, again, 50-50 mixture. And look at how strong that is.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
beautiful. So pretty. So yeah, these tubes of paint are really going to last a very long time. Very, very long time. But me trying to see if I can move this over a little bit, but yeah, it's not. If I do that, I'm gonna get oil paint all over the place.
Alright.
And then we're gonna still swatch that manganese blue as well, which I feel like is gonna be one of Frida's favorite colors. She's a fan of the blue. Oh, look at that pretty color. So this right here, it just reminds me of the Caribbean. How can we not? But that as a glaze even would be absolutely stunning. But that's, yeah, mixed with the linseed oil, breaks down to a beautiful, beautiful color. All right, and
This
then...
palette so far feels like a summer beach ball.
Yes.
I mean, we are in summer, aren't we? Don't worry, we're gonna get dark and moody in a minute.
Oh yes, I'm excited for the dark and moody.
Yes.
Especially since Emmy has a little surprise for the dark and moody.
You talking about the painting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to show off the painting. All right, so then we are going to move into Manganese Blue Pastiche. Now, do you want to explain what pastiche means? Because pastiche sounds like pistachio, which is not at all what that means.
No, so pastiche is basically a hue. So it's, instead of being actual manganese, it's a combination of other things to make it look like
Manganese.
Yes.
Yes. So pastiche, hue, those are synonymous. So anytime you see, or like a synthetic or something, this doesn't actually necessarily mean that it's a synthetic pigment. It just means that it's either a synthetic version or a combination of pigments, just like hue means, like cadmium red hue. That means that it's not an actual cadmium red. It just is something that looks similar to it. But it is still a absolutely stunning color. Look at that. That's the one that we have the swatches, and I mean, it's just so strong.
I know, the tinting strength on these paints it blows my mind.
Absolutely wild. That's why I didn't actually have any scientific amount of linseed oil that I had mixed in for the glaze, because some of them I needed so much linseed oil that just to break down and have it be a glaze, because some of them were just very, very strong that I just needed more oil. It's one of those things. And then we are going to have a couple of the sparkly colors. Ooh, look at that. Oh, so pretty. We are continuing the summer vibe, obviously.
Yes. This copper pearlescent that we have coming up next, I am obsessed.
It is really, really lovely. So anybody who likes sparkle, I might have looked just straight at Frida. Listen, let's be honest. Everybody on this show loves sparkle. But this copper is stunning. Now, we do want to touch base on, there you go. You can really see that sparkle kind of come through, hopefully. It's one of those things where on camera, I'm never quite sure if it's coming through. I hope it doesn't just look like a glare, but you do really get, here, let's actually, it's so pretty though. So this right here on the tube is listed as a mica pigment, which means, and there's also PW 20 listed on the back, which is, if you look it up on that website with all the database of pigment codes, it comes up as mica. So it lists mica twice. Now, I had questions on that because the mica listed for the copper and the mica listed for the white, it says the same thing. And I was like, but how do you get two very different colors? And so I called the chemist. Well, I emailed him, he called me. William, if you're watching, this is for you. So I was like, how do you get the variation of color? Do you mix in a pigment? Like what is going on there? And there's the white mixed into it. So it's got a little bit of a sparkle here. But what he told me is that the mica that they get for the different sparkly colors comes to them already having this coating on the mica. So it's a special process that's already done that allows them to have this mica already be kind of tinted with that copper kind of color, or the white, or there's a silver, there's a gold, and then we'll show you the last one later. I'm going to talk about that later. But that means that you're still getting like a very single pigmented kind of color that's not going to break down or separate or get weird on you over time. That means when you mix it into other things, it's going to be very, very clean, and it's going to have a lovely color kind of experience when you get that. Because if it was a pigment mixed into with mica, you would want to know what pigment that is and how that would affect your color mixes. And I'm going to actually...
And I love these pearlescents as a glaze. I actually did a painting of a cicada because it's the year of the cicadas.
It is. It really is.
And I glazed the wing in the gold.
Do you want to go grab it?
Yeah.
Well, not you, but we can have it. We can go grab it in a second. Yeah, can you guys grab it? It's right there on the... We have a drying rack right over there. It's the cicada painting. But yeah, you guys can see that in a minute. Do you want to pop the white pearlescent on while we're talking about that? Yeah, so it is stunning. But these mica paints are, it's just one of those things where it's such a just subtle thing when you really mix it in just the right way, and it's so lovely.
So
there's the cicada painting.
There's the gold glaze over the wings.
Isn't that lovely? Ooh. It's so pretty. Ugh. The year of the cicada.
Yes.
Guys. We're in it. And yes, there is the white pearlescent, which you could do the exact same thing. Now, something to know about the pearlescent colors. While Michaela is mixing up the tint with the white pearlescent with the titanium white color over there. So something to know about pearlescent colors, because it is mica. Mica is inherently transparent, and the colors that are produced require transparency. So you're never going to get like a really opaque, I know you're seeing opacity here, and there might be some sparkle there, but something that you need to know, and it even happened over here where you can get a little bit of like a tint of it. Mica needs to be mixed with transparent colors. The reason why is because when you mix them with opaque colors, that opaque colors surrounds your mica pigment, and now you're not going to see the mica because you're looking at an opaque pigment. You might see a little bit if you mix just a tiny amount, like this copper pearlescent. There wasn't, I mean, it's a 50-50 mixture, but I wouldn't even exceed that. Probably wouldn't even go that far. But it's one of those things where when you mix it with a transparent color, you can see the mica through the transparent paint, whereas like the opaque colors, like a titanium white, will just kind of cover up that glitter and that sparkle that you're looking for. So I would just keep that in mind if you want those mica pigments. Just transparency is key. This is so pretty. Now, do we have a question?
We do. What happens if you mix the copper and the copper pearl and the white pearl together?
Ooh, let's try it.
I bet you will get a lovely in between where it's like a
rose gold, maybe?
Let's see.
Rosy?
We might be making a rose gold right here.
Ooh.
That's pretty.
Yes,
really
and I will
pretty.
say, if you want to lighten or darken your pearlescence, using that white pearlescent, or we will talk about another fun, darker pearlescent, to kind of shift in that color and still keep that really nice pearlescent
Sparkle.
glitter. Yes.
Yes.
So here's that.
And you want to put it in the book,
Right in
the book of
between.
colors. Yes. So you can see it's still got that mica, but it's the mass tone is a little bit lighter. And you can even go even lighter, you know, adding in more of that white pearlescent. So you can shift it as much as you want to. But it's one of those things where you won't lose the sparkle if you mix sparkle with sparkle. You're fine there. Because again, they are inherently transparent. So there is the first 6 colors one last time before we get this out of the way. And then we're going to go from summer to dark and moody. And I hope you guys are ready for this because I am so excited.
Yes.
Now, we're going to have a little bit of a shift for just 1 second, so hold, please.
Yes.
There's a lot of big panels around, so we want to make sure that we don't get it all over the place. All right. I about put that in paint.
Oh, goodness.
It's fine. We're good, we're good, we're good.
And then I'm going to give you this as well.
All right. Thank you. We share. Sharing is caring. Okay, so I'm going to pull my tubes of paint down here just a little bit. Okay, nope, that's backwards. Okay, so, oh, there's a picture and a picture right on my face. Or right over the tubes. Great. Okay, so I'll pull them down. How about that? The first color I wanted to go over was the Appalachia Brown Oxide. So this is a nod to the fact that it's a North Carolina paint. The Appalachian Mountains run through here, and this is a lovely earth tone that is just stunning. And if you ever want to paint anything earthy, I immediately grab this. It is so pretty. So let's do a quick... Oh, the consistency of this paint too is like, it's really wonderful because you would think that something that is so pigmented would be stiff. No, it is
Almost buttery?
I was gonna say like
melted
butter. It's like butter, but like you can see just how strong that is. I'm gonna actually let you do the Vanna Whiting while I mix.
I can barely even see that black line anymore. I mean, a little bit, but this is a semi-opaque, or is this an opaque color?
Semi-opaque.
Okay, and that's already very, very opaque. I'm very excited for, I love when it's combined with the white. It's very similar to when that copper, very coppery color.
Yeah, it's not too far off. I mean, I would have to mix a lot more white to get to that stage, but there's no sparkle. But if you're looking for like a landscape painting color, this is a wonderful addition. And I can try and scrape it off of there, but like it's opaque now. With that titanium white, it's just gonna be solid. So that is the Appalachia Brown Oxide. let me do a quick glaze with some linseed oil. It helps if I have linseed oil in my pipette. Excuse me. All right.
And when she gets to these dark and moody colors, those glazes,
They sing.
beautiful.
Yes. I am so excited to show you all of these. All of the ones on my palette that look black. They all are not black, I promise.
And this is what I would go for starting like a classic underpainting.
This is a very wonderful, traditional kind of, like old master's technique kind of a color. All right, let me clean this off here. Because then I'm going to actually go over the next 5 colors kind of all at the same time.
Yes.
Because they all kind of go together. So I'm going to actually pick this up and pull this over here. Because I wanted to show you all of these, ignore the white, all of these colors right here are part of our Nocturn, Nocturn series. There we have 5 different Nocturn colors. There is Nocturn Violet, Nocturn Mauve, Nocturn Blue, Nocturn Green, and this is the one that we've been kind of hinting at the entire show, Nocturn Black Pearlescent. It shimmers, and I'm so excited. All right, so I'm going to quickly go over the mass tones for all of them. This right here is the Nocturn Violet, which is a unique little color.
It's like a really nice purpley brown color.
Yeah, it does pull more brown, which I'm not mad about because you're about to see a different kind of version of it. It's just, it's a really wonderful addition, but you're not going to see that until I start breaking those colors down because as you can see with that mass tone, it's dark. It's so dark, which makes sense because it's a Nocturne color.
You can kind of see the slight difference, but let's...
Ever so slight. And then I'm going to have the Nocturne Blue.
Oh, this one is so...
Which is straight out of the tube, kind of reminds me of like a blue-black. It's just stunning. And then, of course, a Nocturne Green. I know this is so underwhelming, and you guys are just like,
gets
it's
so much better.
Dark. It's just dark and dark and dark and dark. And then, of course, that Nocturne Black, Pearlescent, which, again, we'll talk about the pearlescent portion. This is not a color to use. This is the only one that's a little bit more transparent because of that pearlescent. You kind of have to. I'm going to have a little bit more of an opacity there. Now, I'm going to go straight into the glazes. So I know they're all very dark. All very, very dark. But actually, can you shift that over to the side? Because I'm going to pull this over, and I'm going to just go straight into the glazes here. So this is the Nocturne Violet. Which has almost like a, it's like a purpley, it's also still very opaque. I'm gonna actually add a little bit more of
I know, I kept having to add a little bit more oil.
Hopefully, there we go. It breaks down that way.
And it's such a, like it's brown, but it doesn't look.
It's a really lovely, like, earthy purple. Earthy purple.
Yes.
That's a great way of describing it. Which is stunning because, like, anytime I do landscapes with, like, any kind of, like, a rock or, like, Arizona where you have those, like, really orangey rocks, every time I want to do a shadow, I grab, like, a purple and I mix it into all of my, like, red ochres and browns and things, and I make essentially this color. Now, the next couple, let me make sure that this is nice and clean. All right, so this is the Nocturne Mauve.
And
add a
this
lot more oil
is
here.
2 pigments. It's a BK 7 and a Violet 19.
Which BK is black, and BV is a really Peavy is a violet pigment, which is stunning as well. And I don't know if you guys can see, there's a bit of a glare on the palette, and I'm kind of okay with that because this is going to be like an ooh and ah moment here. This is a lot of oil. I'm going to kind of try and scrub it out a little bit more so you can really see that color. It is so stunning. That is the Nocturn Mauve. It's just so pretty. It's
So pretty.
just so pretty. It is one of those colors where I'm just like, oh, but look at it, so pretty. I just will do this all day. It's so pretty. I hope everybody is oohing and ahhing.
That I like about these Nocturne colors, as someone who likes a colorful black, who mixes their own blacks, these are perfect to just grab and have that black on your palette and still have a really nice, vibrant, colorful undertone.
Yeah. All right, so hopefully, again, I've mixed enough oil into this because I know it's again very, very, very pigmented. So it's one of those things where a little goes a long way. But here is the Nocturne Blue. It's also still very, very dark. Let me try and add a little bit more of oil here.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, you guys saw how much oil I added to that. It's so strong, but it's also such a lovely color. It reminds me a lot of like an indigo or like a really, really dark, like just nocturne blue. Just like the shadows of the night is really
like
what
a
it
night
reminds me of.
sky.
Yeah. It is stunning. Vincent van Gogh needed this color. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Have a question?
Eric would like to know how you go about choosing your palettes. Is it artist intuition? Is it something more specific than that?
I think every artist is going to be different. I know I like a little chaos, so I start out by selecting the colors that call to me. If you've seen me talk about that in a previous video, it's literally whatever one pulls my attention, and then I make sure that I have like a good variation if I need to mix colors or if I want to like, it really depends on what I'm painting, the artist. Do you have like a different selection process?
So it always varies depending on what I'm painting. But my general base standard is I go with somewhat of primaries, some kind of a primary situation. And then I add in pure chaos, like fluorescent colors, because that's me as an artist and a person. Like I love to paint on top of magenta all of the time, but you know, magenta could be one of the primary colors. So I might even add in like a fluorescent color on top of that. There is your Nocturne Green. Again, nice and dark and moody. We went from summer to dark and moody, I'm telling you.
This color palette, I would love to paint with this color palette.
Funny you should say that. Let me swatch out this pearlescent black real quick though, and then we'll talk about that. Great segue. All right, now let me make sure that I can only get the black paint. All right, because this makes a really lovely, the pearlescent Nocturne Black. Nocturne Black Pearlescent.
Yes.
This makes a really, really stunning sparkly glaze, which this is one of the only ones in the pearlescent kind of line, because there are 5 of them. This is I don't know if you guys, oh wait, you can't
Oh,
see
I
it.
love seeing it with that oil and how that mica just swirls around.
I don't know if you guys can see this on camera. It's so pretty. It's just like, it's sparkly. I really hope that's coming across. But let me do a bit of a glaze here. This is like something that I would want like a potion bottle full of, you know? So you can see that the tinting strength is low on this, but that's again because it's a mica pigment. You need that transparency, but this has that darkness to it because of its a black pearlescent. It has the black coating on the mica. So again, this is that where you take mica and mix it in with a black paint. Actually, there's a glare on there. This mica is already black, so it's gonna have that sparkle, especially when you have that transparency to it. Let's see if we can get this. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see that. Is that picking up on camera at all?
It looks wet.
I know
It's wet right now.
it's so hard to see, but it's sparkly. It's one of those things where, like, I think it's the cameras just have a really hard time picking up
'Cause
sparkles.
it's such a fine sparkle.
It is
Yeah.
such a fine sparkle, and this actually, in my opinion,
shimmer,
is
yeah.
it's like a blue shimmer. It leans towards blue, so it's a dark, almost black that has this blue shimmer. And this is not something that you would use as a black on your palette. It is so transparent. Oh yeah, let's try and go to the side camera, maybe. And while we're trying to figure out if you guys can see this, actually, let's try and do it this way. Might be able to do that.
Unfortunately, I think we're just getting the sheen from the wet.
Yeah.
I will say
Have a
that after
question?
you mentioned that the shimmer was blue, I saw it
Oh, I just
on
saw
the
it.
screen.
Oh yeah.
It's like a flash.
You just have to
Oh
do it
yeah,
once
there it is.
before.
Do it, there you
Oh,
go.
there it went.
There you go.
Yay! Sparkle! It is so hard to show on camera. But there you go. That is the Nocturn Black Pearlescent. It is a transparent black that has a blue shimmery kind of color to it. So you can break it down and get this like gray sparkle glaze, which
Yes.
is so fun.
So this is basically like a black version of that white pearlescent. So like I said, having this to kind of bring down your color, like your other pearlescents into a darker shade, keeping that glitter is perfect.
It's very,
And
very, very.
am I correct in assuming that we weren't able to find something similar? Like, are there other black
I
pearlescents?
have not seen a black pearlescent
Me neither.
Okay.
on the market other than this one, personally.
If you know one, let us know.
If you do
Yes.
see one, please let me know because I want to see it. I want to compare it to this. You have a question?
Yes. Daniel asked if using a zinc white with the mica paints, the pearlescent paints, would help preserve some of that.
It would.
Yes.
Because it is
Reason-
definitely a lot more of a transparent white. It's not going to overpower that mica.
Real quick. Yeah. That's just naturally. Zinc is definitely going to be more transparent. That's why you get more cleaner mixes with it. That's what it has that purpose in the palette for. You have another question?
Do these play well with other lines?
This is oil paint. You can mix this with any other oil paint. If you already have oil paint at home and you want to add a couple of these to your arsenal of oil paints, yes, absolutely.
I will say when Heather was working on these, I know she specifically tested them with other oil paints as well because lots of people don't have just one brand on their palette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
So
I
it
mean-
was part of the thought process when she was helping create them. So
All right, now I'm going to do a couple of tints here. So you can really see those colors break down. You want to go to that overhead camera?
oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I was like, oh, pretty swatches.
Still watching. I'm like, ooh.
We get distracted by the pretty colors. Okay, here, actually, I'm going to let you
Yes.
hold that while I mix these. So I did the Nocturne Violet, which again, you can see that's like a very desaturated, like earthy violet. And then the mauve, in comparison, is like a punchy kind
yes.
of purpley color, which is so pretty.
My new favorite, I think.
It's so fun.
A tint of that mauve.
Okay, and this blue. Oh, it's so pretty. I've been doing this for 6 months. Like the, oh, it's so pretty. I've been running around with swatches being, look at this! I regret nothing. It's beautiful. There's that blue.
Ooh.
And then the green. It's going to take me just a second. And did we have any questions while I am mixing these last couple colors here? Because I know we're getting awfully close to the end of time, and I know I just want to make sure that you guys see the full extent of these colors real quick. All right, and here is, ooh, that's not quite mixed fully, the Nocturn green, which is absolutely gorgeous.
I love that one.
I knew you would. It's
That's what had me distracted on the other camera.
it's the Nocturne green.
Yes.
That tracks. Katie and her greens. Which is funny because we did not intentionally both wear green shirts today,
Yes,
but it
this
felt
was
appropriate.
happenstance.
Yeah.
Tuscan Pine.
It is a Tuscan Pine show. All right, now this black, I'm gonna actually mix less white in there. I just wanna mix just a tiny, tiny amount, just so you can see kind of it start to tint down because it is not a very strong tinting black. But the more titanium white I mix in there, oh, I got a little purple in there, oh well. The more titanium white I mix in there, the less mica you're gonna see. And again, I know the camera doesn't quite pick it up, but you can really see that this is just a little bit of white, but you can still see that that sparkle does kind of come through in person. It's hard to kind of get that shimmer on camera. Cameras just don't want to pick it up. I know. Now, to show you exactly what all of these can do together, because somebody was asking about the palette. Michaela and I actually did the artwork for all of the different sets as well. And this was the one for all of the Nocturne colors since we happen to be featuring them. This is my elephant.
So this is all just the Nocturne colors and white.
Yes. I specifically actually used the titanium white with safflower oil. So you can see those purples with the mauve and the combination of the violet as well down here for the shadows. And then the blues and the greens kind of coming together. What's funny is I actually started this all off with a underpainting with just the colors and a linseed oil. And then I finished it kind of alla prima because I was working wet and wet because I knew that those glazes were really fatty. So if I had not finished this painting in one sitting, I would have to deal with the fat over lean technique, and then I'd have to add in more fats and different things like that. But there's my elephant with all of the Nocturne colors. So yes, you can absolutely paint with all of those colors and get those subtle shifts, which are really, really lovely. My elephant at night. So, any last minute questions come through, or are we officially done? I'm taking my gloves off. My hands are sweaty. I'm sorry. I had gloves on for an hour. My hands are dying. And I never wear gloves because I'm a very clean painter.
Lots of oohs and ahs.
I'm so glad you guys are.
As we are.
All right, now again though, if you guys are interested in any specific colors that you want to see featured in future Jerry's Live episodes, make sure you put them in the comments. Check out that landing page because you will see all of my swatches, all of my hard work.
Appreciate her hard work.
And of course, I mean, you get to see all the different colors that we have available.
Yes.
And I hope you guys get to get your hands on some of this paint. It is so, so wonderful. And it's really been a labor of love. We really do love this paint. And I hope you guys get to experience that. So that was the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, don't forget, if you are interested in any of the paints that we were showing today, or any of the products that we were using, like the Painter's Color Diary or this palette or any of the things, make sure to go to the website, JerrysArtarama.com, and type in today's class code, which is JL337, again, here in the corner if you want to check it out. So that should bring up the teacher's cart and all of the products.
Yeah.
And
next week. You'll be on next week. She's going to be doing some India ink techniques. Very excited.
Yes, we're going from oil to ink.
Yes.
Yes, and it's going to be very fun. And we're going to be going over all the different, India ink techniques specifically, but that's transferable to other inks, I guess, isn't it? But it's going to be fun. I hope to see you guys then. Adios. Bye.
First of all, it's called Perthful, and and I will take no other names.
You said